DTM Ali and all Toastmasters and guests in the house. We are going to get started with our third installment of Parliamentary Procedure series from Vision Advanced Toastmasters Club. I'm just going to have a small recap. So this session, as the timer mentioned, is going to be for 10 minutes, followed by 5 minutes question and answers. We discussed in previous two series, why do we need parliamentary procedures? What are parliamentary procedures? The basic principles it works on. Majority takes it, minority has the chance to be heard. Why do we follow Robert Rules of Order? Who was the man behind creation of Robert Rules of Order? Different kind of terms used in parliamentary procedures: quorum, constitution, bylaws, motion, who's a presiding officer, some more items on fundamental principles, a proper way of having the order of business done from call to order till adjournment, the way to handle a main motion or any regular motion. So the 6 steps are very crucial. And then I also showed the chart, which has 13 motions, very important for us as Toastmasters. And there are much more. But this 13, if we become experts or near to experts in this 13, we can surely have no more issues in handling a business session in a Toastmasters meeting, area ExCom, or area council, division council, or even district council. We started with subsidiary motions. In subsidiary motions, we covered postponed indefinitely. So this is what we discussed, and we'll just get started quickly with amend, and we will go to, after we are done with amend, we'll go to postpone to a certain time. Now, this is a very common motion, to amend a main motion. A very strong motion which has been used in plenty of business sessions, especially at the district council meetings or district ExCom meetings. It can be very much used even in a club business session. That's totally fine, because what we see in the district council meeting is simply a bigger audience, and a club has a smaller audience. That's the only difference. So here is what amend. Can anybody tell me in the chat, why do we even need amend? Because the time is short, you can keep typing. I'll come back to it. Or I can pick 1 or 2 answers. Anybody, why do we need amend? Yeah, you could write it in the chat, DTM Claire. The motion is tuned or not clear. Okay, good. So that's a good guess, and it is true. The motion is not clear, or we want to add a few more details into the motion. So the whole purpose is to modify the main motion to bring more clarity for the audience or for the members to vote on, to improve the former motion, as said by DTM Claire, and thank you, DTM Tanaji. So here is what we can do when we want to amend a motion. We have to be sure of one thing, that we don't bring up something which is not related to the main motion. For example, a member makes a motion. I suggest, or I move that we all go for dinner. So it's a motion, seconded, as we discussed in the previous session, a simple motion. I move that we all go for dinner. Now, if I want to amend this motion, I have to bring something related to it. I cannot say, I move that and a new motion. I move that we go for a movie. It has to go in lines with the previous motion. For example, I move to amend by striking out dinner and inserting breakfast. So this is an example which I've put on the screen. So when we amend a main motion, we can strike few words, we can modify few things. So that's possible, but it should remain germane to the main motion. A few restrictions we may have. While a person is trying to amend the motion, he or she cannot be interrupted. The amend motion has to be seconded, just like any other motion. It can be debatable, very much, it is, and we need majority to vote, which is 50% plus 1. Now the procedure is same. Once the member says, I move to amend by striking out dinner and inserting breakfast, it has to be seconded. And then can somebody tell me in the chat, if it is seconded and it is stated by the presiding officer to the House, so what will be discussed here by the audience or by the members? Is it the amended motion or the main motion? Anybody? Anyone? So will they discuss the amended motion or the previous motion? The amended motion. Perfect. Very good. Great. So they have to discuss now the amended motion, vote for it, regardless whether it's yes or no, and then go back to the main motion. So here are some more examples or the next step to amending an amended motion. We can go to the next level and amend an amended motion already. For example, we striked out dinner, we put breakfast, for example. Now we want to find out what's the time. So an example is given here. I move to amend the pending amendment by inserting the words at McDonald's. After the word breakfast, I will write at McDonald's. So this is the second level of amendment, and this is our last chance to amend the motion. We cannot keep amending the motion. It's going to, the House will become like crazy, or it will look like we are not serious about what we are doing. It turns up like a joke of the assembly if we keep amending the whole night. Okay, so there are two levels. Once again, the main motion is done, amend, and then the amendment, and of the amendment of the amended motion. After this, we are going to go to the next part, which is to commit or to refer. We commit, or sometimes we feel as an assembly that we might not, it won't be a good idea to take a decision so quick, and we might regret later, or it's not this motion, person who made this business motion does not give enough details. So we really need to do some research. So this is a famous motion which is commit or to refer. So here is some restrictions. We cannot interrupt the speaker. It has to be seconded. It is debatable. It is amendable, and majority needs to vote for it. Example, I move to refer this motion to a social committee. And this has happened many a times, especially at the district council. I've seen it happen at the club meetings also. For example, if we want to go for a picnic, the president can't interfere, but can encourage someone in the audience, to probably come up with this motion. Maybe there can be a committee. So if this motion is moved, let it go to the committee. It takes a higher precedence than a main motion. So if this is approved, then it's done. Finish, it goes to a committee. Postpone to a certain time. This is the last motion we are discussing for this series. Postpone to a certain time. Now, there is a motion on the floor and we are not sure about it. Should we go ahead with this? Do we have enough time in the agenda? Or are the people who were against this motion probably we discuss it on the WhatsApp chat, and somebody, one or two individuals who were very much against this, they didn't attend the meeting today. This is going to be fair to go ahead and just get it voted upon. Maybe it might be adopted, but it might create an ill feeling in the House. So are we ready for that? So the mature way would be to postpone it to a certain time. Now, what we did in the first motion, in the second series, we had the first motion from the subsidiary, which was indefinitely. But this is what we are saying, we'll postpone it definitely to a certain time. So same rules apply here. Speaker cannot be interrupted. It has to be seconded, debatable, amendable, and majority has to vote. I move to postpone the motion to our next meeting. So you see, the president can just give this statement because it's very important, as what we learned in previous series. The president must repeat the motion to make it officially presented to the House. It is moved and seconded that the motion to buy lunch for all club members be postponed until our next meeting. Is there any discussions on the motion to postpone? Okay, so these were the three motions which I wanted to talk about in this series. And as we know that in Vision Advanced Parliamentary Procedures or PAR Pro series, we are going step by step to excel in every motion. Now we are open to questions.
Good morning.
Any questions on the?
Yes. Good morning, DTM Ali. Yeah. It's not a question. It's an inquiry. Why do we have to go all these things? I mean, why do we have to be strict about these things? What would make a difference if I say I will second the second motion, or I stick to these words? Does it make any difference?
Yes, it does, because these are timely tested. Now, Robert Rules of Order, the 11th edition, is widely used. So all these years we have been improvising on having professional meetings using Robert Rules of Order, because there has been a lot of mess in the House when there were no Robert Rules of Order. For example, if somebody gets up and makes a motion, and if it is not seconded, then everybody will start getting up and making motions without having any backup. When two people are there, one to state, one to second, it shows it has been maturely discussed among them. There is a person, because maybe one mind wasn't thinking straight, but the second mind probably is a backing up that main motion and showing, yes, we did discuss this, and I'm backing it up by saying I second. If we don't have a procedure in place, if we go 4 or 5 times, keep amending the motion, and this procedure goes on, the meeting will never end on time. So this has been timely tested by House of Representatives in many parliamentary, in countries they have bigger parliaments. So this is how, because of these rules, the House is intact. They have to follow. Otherwise, it's going to be a big mess if we don't have these rules of order in place. The good news is, after all these years, now we have the 12th edition, which is out in the market. So there was an 11th, newly revised, with Toastmasters were following. Now the 12th one is out, but we don't have to follow it still, because Toastmasters books are not talking about it yet. They are still talking about the newly revised 11th edition. So yes, we have to follow the rules to have a professional meeting.
Thank you.
Since it's yellow, maybe one more question. Any questions on the 3 business motions? Okay, can anybody give a recap of what the 3 motions we discussed today?
To amend.
Amend.
I mean the second motion. I mean the second.
Okay, that's still amend. There are two more.
Postpone.
Postpone. There are two categories of postpone. Which postpone category did we discuss
Indefinitely
today?
and till a specific time.
Okay, we discussed to the specific time. What was the third one?
Was it tabling the motions?
The nature is the same, tabling the motion,
Yeah.
but what's the proper name for it? So it was refer to a committee.
Refer to a committee. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so amend, postpone definitely, and refer to a committee.
Can
So
I
let's use it at, yeah.
this? Can I refer to a committee which is not being created?
Oh, yeah. You can, that's the meaning. We are creating a committee when we say refer to a committee.
I will keep
So,
that in mind actually.
sure. So let's start using the three motions probably at our boardroom at work, but don't be fired. Don't use it at home. So the only safest place is Toastmasters. You cannot refer to committee at home. You know what will happen next. Thank you, everybody. Over to you, TM Modi.